the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will begin with public comment. So if there are any members to come before the board, please state your name for the record and you will be heard.
Long government 26 Multi Road. I'm here to address the board, and I'd like to thank you for letting me speak. And there has been a conversation about a lot line fencing and signage on our property on Ridge Road. And after reviewing the audio and video of the meeting on November 18th, and the presentation by the Conservation Commission, we have some concern that we would like to discuss with the board. First, that fence was installed 23 years ago, and we used the survey that was conducted for the Conservation Commission in 1989. The survey established the center of the stone wall as the property line. And what they did as the markers is they went down the wall and drilled holes in the stones so many feet. We have a copy of the survey of the farm report to let you look at it. So that was done 35 years ago, and things have happened to a portion of that wall. The wall has been moved by some events. The matching of the test that there was a big tree removal that took place there, and they brought down equipment. Heavy equipment has been brought down there on occasions. Recently, there were logs that were brought down and dropped on the stone wall. And there was the removal and reinstallation of the rocks for a beaver deceiver that was installed by the Conservation Commission. And, you know, once again, now I'm going to ask you, but there was a flash flood that took it. And that has happened on a number of occasions when the upper beaver dam breaks. What happens, it takes, what they do is beavers build check dams down the way. There was one that took out every check dam, completely up over our wall, washed every stick in the neighborhood's property, on lot property, back up the culvert and washed out on Ridge Road. So, movement of the rocks took place during those floods. So there's a portion of the wall you really can't go and say the lot line is there. There's other portions of the wall that have to remain straight. The drill holes have been moved from the above events and some can't even be found. I'll probably state this a number of times during this presentation, but we have received no correspondence, no contacts in regards to the fence being on the conservation property or the signs being on the conservation property. I made 2 right-to-know requests. One was for a letter that the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests sent the Conservation Commission, and then I made a request for the minutes of the November 18th meeting. We have always been open to discussion, and I think I came to a meeting here and said I was open to discussion, but I'll reference that back. Additionally, they're saying that we have posted our property with no trespassing signs, and they do not like the placement, or they said that we have put that on conservation property. The commission held a meeting in November. I attended, it was November 14th, and the abutter that is on the other side of that right away attended also. The discussion at the meeting centered on bridge construction because we thought they were in the process of constructing the bridge, the beaver dam, safety concerns based on the trail condition and the high water, the pondage in front of the trailhead, encroachment on private property, and liability concerns to the property owners. We were advised at that meetings and the minutes of that meeting reflect that we should write the board with our concerns, post our property with no trespassing signs, and not to worry about liability because we were covered by recreational immunity. We did what they advised. I sent the letter to the board. We posted the signs. And contacted our insurance company in the front. So let me move ahead a little bit. The March 14th meeting for the Conservation Commission, they announced that the society would walk the property, and it's my understanding the society walks the property every year. Or if they can't walk the property, they'll send up a drone and go over the property. This was posted in the minutes of the meeting, but the minutes were not posted to 30 days after the meeting happened. So there was a meeting on April 9th that talked about Pam walking with the society representative on the Hodges property, which is, I have no problem with that, but where it starts to stray a little is that there was no discussion about the fence or the signage. And there was no discussion about a presentation of a letter to be presented to the board a few days later. The only reference to the abutters was about dumping yard waste on the Hodges property, and that they wanted a letter sent out to the abutters. However, we never received a letter. We really do not dump anything over there. So the first indication we had that there was an issue happened on April 15th when they attended a board meeting. And they presented their letter and stated that our fence was on the conservation property. Our signage was placed wrong and on the conservation property. And this is the first time it was made known to us that there was an issue about signage. And I think at that meeting, Joe, you told that you wanted a delineation of the border, and you asked the commission to take the first shot at that. We never received a request to discuss the perceived problems, so we contacted our attorney, and it was decided that we would attend the board meeting and prepare a response to the letter that they gave you on April 15th. So I attended the board meeting on June 17th and discussed the issues that I had. And I also made, I think, two important statements, and it's noted in the minutes of your board meeting. I said I would agree to work this out. I was willing to have someone contact me to work with the commission to settle this matter. So once again, the board said, let's get somebody over there and take a look at it, and nobody ever contacted. It's going to be like a theme or whatever was contacted, but let's move on to the November 18th meeting where the Conservation Commission attended. And one thing I would like to say, and was kind of disheartening to me and to Holly, is when a commission comes to a board meeting, you would hope they would present the facts that are accurate. But what happened on the 18th, that did not happen. They made a statement that they have met with me on a number of occasions, and I have no interest in discussing the sign of the fencing. We have not met with anybody. We don't even know to this day what area of the fence we're talking about. We can assume that where they may be talking about, but it's bewildering to us that we have walked it a number of times that we scratch our heads. And so, going back to the theme of this presentation is we're willing to meet with anybody to discuss this. But, it becomes kind of disheartening when you portray it as uncooperative. We are wasting our time with this individual. And they bring up a new issue. Now let me get into that new issue. A can of worms was brought up, and I think that was the term used. Let's open a can of worms. I'll give you a little background of Bolton Ridge. I lived in town 49 years, 43 on Amesbury Road, 6 on Bolton Ridge. We purchased Bolton Ridge in 2001. We received a loan from East Farm Credit in Manchester. We built the bond and installed the fence in 2001. The horses were placed on the property in September 2001, and at that time we had 3 horses. There was no home on that property for 17 years. It was just farmland and a barn. The current house was built in 2018. The fence location that is being questioned, which is I'll call the west boundaries, has not changed in 23 years. The only thing that has changed is when an insulator tops off, we have to replace them. For over years, they get worn. The property has been insured as a farm since 2001 and presently is insured as a farm. The horses, as I've said, have been there 23 years, and the sign has been posted as a farm for 23 years, and the sign says Backfield Farm. They raised an issue, should animals be on wetlands on this property? The existing RSAs and the town zoning ordinance covers farming and agriculture. Based on my review of the RSAs and the wetland ordinance, we are recognized as farm/agriculture. Therefore, we have the right to have livestock on this property, allowing them to roam within the established boundaries. They brought up whether they were concerned that we had animals in the wetlands. Now, I'm going to get into an area which deals with the sign closing. And let me start, this is not a decision that we are trying to persuade. It is a town decision, and we recognize that. The only reason why we brought up a discussion about the trail is that we saw a potential liability over there. On one occasion, we have seen people fall into the small pond that has developed in front of it, and that's why we brought it up. Also, attending the meeting in November, they told me I was covered by recreational immunity. Well, anybody can file a lawsuit about anything. And there are instances where individuals have won cases against communities when recreational immunity was cited as a defense. So it's not a slam dunk, and I'm certainly not an attorney, but there was a number of cases I looked at that went the other way. But where I'm going with this is the legal fees that we would have to incur to defend ourselves in regards to that. And we don't really want to go there. So recreational immunity really doesn't apply to us. And I really don't want to try to get into defending it. So, however, once again, we said that it's between you and town council and the opening of the trail. But they presented some facts that were flatly false at that meeting. That is not the only access to the Blue Trail in the Hodges property. You can go up Molten Ridge, less than a mile up by buy a property that has a south trail that goes down there and attaches to every trail on the Hodges property. And the video that they presented about them walking across, I think one of them said, see, it was no problem. Well, I think about 2 weeks later, we got an inch of rain. I have 3 pictures.
I gave you pictures, photos with Kathy, those were taken December 6th, December 7th. But today I went down there at 11 a.m. and took pictures today, after I talked to Kathy, and I have those we can provide, that water is still ponded on both sides, like that Beaver Dam and the wall.
And it extends from 30 to 40 feet from what I'll call the trailhead to the actual blue trail. So that I wasn't quite accurate with it. In most of the year, I would say 90% of the year, there's a pond in front of that. It's rare that that happened, but we were in a severe drought at that time they took that. So I guess where we want to go is, when does this stop? It is, they brought the forces into it now, and then, what's next? It's just, what we want to do is, we're just frustrated and bewildered by this. And we have considered this, after that meeting, a very serious matter with us. And what we would like to do, and I think this is kind of a defining moment, I think this meeting is, and I'm not asking for a resolution at this meeting, but I'm asking for us to move forward from this point and just have a discussion about it, and that we can either come to some type or explore some type of options, or we will have to move on another path. So I guess we're ready to meet with anybody, and we were not happy with the way we were put, the way the board talked about our actions in the last meeting. Not the board, I'm sorry, the commission, so.
I appreciate that.
That's it.
And while we have you here, if you listen to the minutes, or listen to the proceedings from November the 18th, you probably heard this board express some frustration that our intention to have a team be out there with all the players hasn't happened. Because if you go back to April past, the plan was that there was going to be representatives from the town to meet with the commission and you all, there was going to be a visualization of this, we were going to be able to actually get some answers and put some things to rest. As often happens, I thought other people were dealing with it and I didn't follow up on that. So that's my mistake, that I didn't follow up on what that had been done. And so what you probably heard from the November proceedings was that we now have reassigned that task, and we're including a board member. Kathy's involved in it now to follow up and actually make sure that the meeting takes place with the scheduling and all of that. And probably having Matt, who we're gonna potentially involve you, and then Gino.
Yeah.
From a code enforcement standpoint, just so that we've got the right eyes around the situation. So, I think Kathy has sent out an email even just tonight.
I was getting ready to send.
We're sending out an email tonight to try to get the actual scheduling of getting everybody out there. Because I think it's impossible to do in a room with pictures, and no matter what it is, it's hard to do. And honestly, I'm the last guy to go out and walk around it and look at it and know what the heck I'm looking at. So that's one of the reasons to have people like Gino and Matt and some others that are out there to make sure that you're adequately given the opportunity to explain and have everybody there at the same time, rather than I took a picture this day, it was dry, I took a picture this day, it was wet. I mean, as you know, and I apologize on behalf of the board that it has been delayed the way that it has. That's our fault, from our perspective, and all we can do is get after it and not let it go another 9 months and try to get a resolution both for the town and for, the abutter and for the property. I would say, stay tuned, because that should be coming out very swiftly, and then probably the first couple of weeks of the year, we're gonna get these folks together and try to get on the same page around what the path forward is.
Yeah, if it, the only thing I'll suggest, if it snows, it's gonna be.
That's all right, I understand.
Yeah, so, I just. And Paul, you can chip in again if you want, you know, I'm going to say something, and, you know, you all know I was in Woodland. And I make decisions, and you guys make decisions, then you can be criticized. But that's part of the job. And believe me, I was criticized for some of the decisions that I made. But it's become such a stressful thing for me, at least. When I go to a church on a Sunday morning, and I'm trying to listen to Christmas music and listen to a sermon, and this is all I think about. So, we just want to get this resolved. We don't want to be portrayed as the villains in this. Just let's, and I know what you said, and I will look forward to that being happening. So, you want to say anything here?
The only thing I would like to add is, I felt like it would have been courteous if they would have let us know that they were going to make a presentation, that we could be here to hear it. I did listen to the audio. I didn't hear people speaking, announce who they were speaking. It would help me to know if they were a member of the commission or audience or whatever. But at the very end of it, and I know I'm alluding to it, my horses have been here 23 years, and some female voice says something about, oh, then it's probably a problem that they got horses over there on the left. No one's ever mentioned that, and that would be because these are old horses that drop over dead tomorrow, they're that old. But to just create that problem, that added to this problem, that really got me. They're like my pets. So, I think you said everything must be done to say, and we appreciate you guys letting us come and make the difference.
You're always, anyone's always welcome to come. I will say though, I just want to make it, I said something, I just want to make sure that if the others have anything that they wanted to add, then.
Yeah, I mean, in discuss the conservation commission, the ability to come to, there's been no conclusions. But, you know, I've never heard anything about the Franny Indian dealing with the horses or anything like that. And so, I'll mention it to them again. It's got to get reviewed, it's got to get resolved. So,
We would like to work it out.
yeah,
We would like to come to a mutual kind of understanding that the longer it goes on,
Yeah.
the more inflammatory statements that get made, the more we start to say, can we trust what they're saying? And I don't want to spit that.
yeah, I don't know if I can look for the most problem. I think some of the comments came from the oversight of the property from the ones that we got the grants from, stuff like that too, about the property. That's cool. But it's gotta get straightened out. I'll put it in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So stay tuned and let's do this. I would say if this meeting hasn't taken place by the end of January, let's pick it again and make sure that we're ready. If it gets delayed because of weather or whatever, I understand, but like, let's not let this go more than another 4 to 6 weeks before we're able to get the cats around the table and try to figure it out.
That's fine with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any other public comment at this time? Seeing no other public, I'm going to close the public comment portion of the agenda and move into opening a public hearing, which is required for the acceptance of unanticipated funds in accordance with RSA 3175B. These are for grant, state funds, as well as donations that come in. And we do have a certain amount here. It looks like there's $5,369.82. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
And that is inclusive of primarily,
Yeah, the police department, grants.
okay. I'm looking at it, I'm just trying to figure out.
There was one POC payroll that I included. We usually don't include the emergency operations center. But this was labeled as just payroll and it's a different amount than their usual 21-25 that we don't have to accept because we know we're getting it. So I did include that 1,300. Just to be sure that,
So what we're accepting are this and that apricot here, this,
yes,
whatever, like, what's,
Yeah.
whatever, like, over.
right,
So we have distracted driver, DUI enforcement speed, and then, EOC payroll.
yeah,
And that's what yields that, if we scroll down, that 5,369.
yes.
So
Yeah,
those are state funds. So what if there's any public hearing, but public here, so we'll,
So what was the number again?
you have it.
714.
So I'll make a motion to accept the unanticipated funds in the amount of $5,369.82. I'll second that.
That motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. So has been accepted. The agenda for the public hearing states we will be accepting encumbrance requests from departments. That's not something that has to take place in the hearing.
No.
So I don't think there's any other business to come before the hearing. So I will close the public hearing portion, move back to our regular agenda and head to department heads reports and begin with the fire department, chief fire.
So the first thing, the new furnace is being installed, it will start it today, hopefully will be done tomorrow. Tank should, propane tank should be installed tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. And the oil tank will be gone. It will be switching with propane. We have fire at 183 Inkster Road. Fortunately, that house is pretty much a loss. First alarm. Guys did great, mutual aid was great. And unfortunately, we will probably never know the reason why that started because it looks like the second floor, but we're not sure and there's no way to get up there because the stairs burned out.
So in that case, did the fire marshal come down to?
I did request the state fire marshal to come down and they did their report and determined it.
Undetermined.
It's been a kind of busy week and a busy weekend. We had a couple car accidents, we had a rollover in the area of 213 North Havel Road. We had another car accident, one leading through the road and 2 Lambert Road, car into a pole. So it's been a busy week for the fire department and the police department.
So do you have, is there any dispatch to ambulance or anything for those accidents?
The ambulance went, the engine went.
Yeah. Okay.
One was a sign out and one was a transfer.
Well, thank you to the department for responding to certainly the fire and the other incidents. And any questions for fire department?
Is your staffing good and stuff like that? I mean, is there?
Well, we're always looking for young, healthy members. My old guys are great and they're hard workers, but they're slowing down. They need some young blood. They need some young blood that wants to go in and fight the fire. So we're always looking.
If I get my sons to move out of Miles, they can get up here into a real world, I'll kick it your way. Yeah, we'll take it right now.
Mine are old enough yet. Okay, in that case, we'll close fire department, move into emergency management.
Only thing to report for emergency management is that I have a meeting coming up this Wednesday with, our emergency management rep Candy and her boss to discuss the radio move to over here. So, and hopefully
Are they finding anything there?
I'm
I'm
hoping.
trying to get that going 2 years.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this meeting is, kind of the, push. I made a phone call and said, hey, we need to get this going. Winter's coming. I don't want to put holes in the town hall and then have it snow. So we kind of got, with that pressure, I think we got moved up to listen, and at least we've caught the eyes of the boss.
You have any contact with them now?
Candy.
Kids, I haven't met her.
Yeah, she's,
Or maybe I didn't want them.
yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
So she's coming down and her boss is,
They're more related.
I don't know who her boss is. I forget where she's at, but I haven't met her yet, so.
Yeah, they're, I worked there for a number of years, but they've all changed houses.
Yeah.
Sure, a lot of them have changed houses.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll move that into road manager, Mr. Armstrong.
The road department has been pretty active in, winter maintenance regards. Although no real plowable snow yet, we have responded several times with salt and sand to mitigate icy and slippery conditions. 128 tons of salt was ordered and received from Morton Salt for the salt shed. That order fulfilled the contractual obligation to Morton to take 40% of our reserve ton by December 31st. Ordered a couple signs from New England Barricade for the township. One was not block gate and the second was do not block drive. We had an issue with a deer hunter this fall. Vehicle blocking access to the salt shed for salt deliveries. It's delivered in 18-wheeler tractor, trailer dumps, so pretty much need access to the driveway. Also ordered 30 traffic cones to replenish, depleting supply at the township. That's it from the road department.
Questions, comments for the road department?
No.
Okay, so when I look at the year-to-date budget, relative to the road department, and I look at, both the salt and sand and the contracts for the winter maintenance, is that representative of what Matt just told us, or is that not yet included?
The bills for tonight are included in this,
Okay, and that includes.
so that includes his, yep.
So if I, and weather holds through where it is, that's pretty much your number for those line items.
Correct, yeah.
I mean, one of them wipes it again, and I understand.
Right, but we'll have to have an emergency meeting to sign off on that before the end of the year. That's like a motion.
No, I think if, we would just,
Manifest.
It would just go on next,
we would just have to come in and have a
Yeah.
majority sign it, that sort of thing. But honestly, at this point too, and if an event happens, it's December 20 and an event happens, those bills are gonna come in, that's, I think, the sort of thing you can pay after the fact.
Yeah.
Well, you can,
You know what I mean, because it's something that occurred, and if we meet on January 4th, 6th, or whatever it is, we can sign stuff that was incurred the
okay.
last couple weeks of December.
It'll be booked back to 24,
It's 13th month. it'll-
just that first meeting.
Okay, okay.
So that's, I'm more looking at, you're in great shape in the sense that, hopefully if things go well, great. If we have one or two, days where we got to plow and everything, then we've got room for it, so.
Absolutely.
Okay. Seeing no other department heads, commission or committee chairs, I'm gonna move into new business, and then first item we do have here, Jeff, we have the report on the paramedic services from Plastow.
Yes.
I didn't know if you were gonna share some of that, your participation in that meeting and your thoughts about it.
So I can share that the Seacoast fees as a group, and that would include all the towns that are affected by the ALS service, like East Kingston, Kensington, Kingston, Epping, Rockwood, all the towns. I think there's like well, maybe, I have to remember exactly. But, they all voted unanimously to support the Boston plan. That seemed to be the more, robust plan, had longevity, into it. We heard three different plans. We heard one from the Boston chief, which is what you see there. We heard one from the ALS paramedics out of the hospital trying to form their own company. They presented a plan which was more money than the Boston. And then we heard, private ambulance service, so we did the due diligence, listening to the private ambulance service. Who at the end of that, their slide presentation had a slide in there saying that, we should not be your primary option. We should be like a secondary option, that's equal achievement. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, because we're looking for a primary, and something that's sustainable. So they all voted. Unfortunately, I was not at that meeting, but I told the East Kingston chief how I felt and said, you can cast a vote for me, at that meeting, and it came out unanimous for the Boston. The Boston plan presents putting on 2 ALS trucks instead of the one that we're trying to get out of the hospital. So that would be stationed, they're thinking Brentwood, because Brentwood, you think they get a 101 quarter or 125 quarter and everybody off. The supervisor, I think, would come out of Plastow, and I'm not sure where they were gonna put the other truck. I don't remember where he said that was gonna go. There's also an opportunity for Plastow plan to take on the towns like Danville, Sandown, all the towns that are currently under Trinity Ambulance Service, because Trinity Ambulance Service is pulling out of the area because they're not making any money. That's the bad thing about private ambulance services. They're all about making money. If you're in the paramedic program, you're never gonna, in an ALS intercept, you're not gonna make money. You're gonna be lucky if we're trying to break even and provide a great service. So the privates don't want to do that. They just want the almighty dollar. And if they're not getting it, they're out. So, again, the last of the plan, he's hoping to hire those paramedics from Exeter. I think he had a meeting with them. Maybe it was last week or it's this Wednesday. And he's gonna, present his plan to them and say, hey, the jobs are there, we're gonna come. This is what we're gonna do. We're still kind of in the phase where, they're still talking to donors right now, and trying to figure out, how much they're going to give. So the first year of the Boston plan is 0 cost to us, which is awesome. They give us a year to put a line item in our budget, because the second year, the third year, it's going to be the fee we're going to have to promote.
So Jim, while I look at this, I'm looking at the, this one pager from the slide deck I have here, which shows, years 2 through 6 with an escalating, system match, they call it. Is that for the entire system or per town?
He gave 2 presentations. He did a 50-50 split, which was by county with the population, and then he did a flat fee. I'm not sure, because I wasn't at that other meeting. I'm not sure which avenue they're going with, either the flat fee or the 50-50 split. And they're still, like I said, they're still waiting on the donor money. And the last meeting I was at, the AG's office is going after Exeter Hospital for more money, because what they said, they didn't think, the AG didn't think that was enough, and he thought they should be contributing more to the problem. So if that happens, the amount we're going to pay in might be a little less, because there'll be more funds available versus the town's going to be kidding.
I guess my question is, as I look at this, you guys, I think, have this as part of your packet, which shows the 2025 at 0 based on the, there's charitable support or whatever else is supporting that.
Right.
But in year 2 in 2026, $341,000, cost, which goes to 713,000, 1.1 million, 1.6 million, and then has sort of this escalation. And what I can't tell is if that's the cost of the entire program, or if that's the cost, which has to be broken out and shared among the 12 communities, or if that's per town, you know what I mean? It's not clear to me what that means. My guess is gonna be that that's the cost of the program that needs to be shared out by some, whether it's a capitated or straight shot basis, because I can't see it
Yeah,
costing more than a couple of million. I mean, because if they're asking each town, this isn't a $30 million exercise, which is what if you had 12 towns kicking in $2 million a piece, so yeah, this is the number here that I'm looking at. I'm assuming that's the total cost that needs to be shared out to the communities. Not a per town.
yeah. I'm,
But we don't need to answer that tonight, it's just something as we go forward,
Yeah,
this
because,
to be solved, or at least to be.
Yeah, and I know on the seventh, in January, I'm thinking on the seventh, but in January, there is plans to have a member of the board come, and have the whole presentation done to you, and, you can ask your questions then, which would be great, because, I'm kind of in the middle, but I don't control the document, you guys do, so it's, I can listen all along, and then I just present to you, this is what it looks like. So you'll have that opportunity to make your comments, and then, like I said, if we don't go with this plan, then, and we call for ALS service, and we get this, we should call it the plastic plan, I don't know if that's gonna be the name. You can guarantee we will get hit with a significantly big charge of probably $3,000 and up, depending on what they do. So, I think it's a better option to go with the plan, and,
I do too, but it's a question of looking at how many ALS calls in the course of a year do we have, and what's the average cost?
right.
And then what actually are they saying the anticipated cost is? Because if they say that this goes to the point where they're asking, and how much have we been paying? What's our contract with the ALS service? We should have that.
It's like $87 a month.
$85. Every time it's comes out, they will send us a bill for $85.
Okay,
And so we, obviously, we transport, so we get the bill for the transport, but any ALS services they do, that's, we get the $85 and then they charge the patient.
yep, no, I don't get that, that'll do that. Because it comes down to, what is our current exposure and liability? What's our exposure and liability under this plan? And what is it if this plan exists and we aren't paying into it? And if we say, okay, we get 30 calls a year that are ALS calls, and those are, say we average that out of $5,000 a piece, well, what does that look like, right? That's $15,000. And if we're supposed to pay in $50,000, well, that's a bad insurance premium. So those are the kinds of questions we're gonna have to ask as we look at please, Bob, I know you have a question.
yeah, definitely, because, where are they located? In Plastow?
So you'll have a truck come out of Brentwood. They're gonna station a truck in Brentwood, at the Brentwood Fire Department. The supervisor will pass them. I don't know where the other truck is going to be positioned.
So there's going to be two trucks?
Two trucks. Potentially three, the supervisor by himself, but if he's needed, he'll come out and do that. But the two trucks will have two paramedics on board, so they'll do what they do now. The ALS crew will split, and one paramedic will go with this town, and if they get another call, they'll drive to the other town and do a call there, and then
I'm still struggling with having to deal with, how to dispatching it, having come across 2 or 3 times to get here. Deal with somebody in town that's got an issue.
Well, yeah, I mean,
They're kind of doing that now.
They're coming from next day.
Out of the hospital.
Well,
And-
Exeter to Kensington is a lot closer than Blackstone to Kensington.
well, Brentwood though, I mean, Brentwood's not
Even Brentwood,
But Appleton, the ALS crew is in Raymond, Deerfield, Fremont, because those are the big high users.
right,
Raymond, is the number one user of Exeter ALS, and Raymond hasn't decided to go on the plane or not. They're being kind of weird in the limbo.
somebody in town has an issue with needs an ambulance. These guys still got to cross multiple towns to get it.
which is what they already do, which is what they do.
Yeah.
If they're right.
All right, so I'm spoiled from when we had a guys that would just come out of work and hop in the ambulance and go from the street here. You know, I mean, so it's basically, to me, it's still gonna be a sub-service of what we've had in the past.
Well, the guys from down the street here were never ALS, it's only
Yeah.
BLS.
No, but they could get out here. Yeah, ALS is a different level. I
Well,
read-
BLS is still gonna come out of here. We're
Yeah,
still-
we'll still have our ambulance coming out of the fires. Our ambulance isn't going in.
Yeah, we're still gonna have basic life-saving ambulance out of our own shop.
And the
This is ALS.
Yep, with the local crew, yep.
Yeah, so the ALS, yeah, this is just for the ALS.
All right, so they go first time.
Yep.
And because the ALS, which is, again, I don't know whether that's out of the 400 calls a year, you do maybe 30 are ALS. I mean, like, it's a.
My main flight support.
Yeah, it was 61, okay.
Yeah.
So we do, and again, I'm trying to remember what the chief had said, whether it's however many hundreds of calls a year that the ambulance is doing.
We're at 189 calls for the year right now. And
Okay, so maybe about a
Most
third,
of those are medical, some of them.
so a third of our calls are ALS, basically, like if we look at this. And
And
so,
61 of those, that might have been just that they came, but they didn't write in. They just showed up.
yeah,
And then they said, nope, you don't need us later. Yeah, right, you guys can handle it. You're good to go.
Yeah, my whole concern is service, if we.
well, yeah, sure, yeah, no, because I'm looking now, and if the truck is gonna be coming out of the river,
That's close, that's not.
whereas right now, what Jeff is telling us is that half the time, ALS is responding from Deerfield and Raymond.
Yeah, that's,
We're actually improving our response time for ALS, because they're not coming, I mean, they might be coming from Exeter some of the time if they're in the shop, but most of the time they're coming from another call. And so if we're coming out of Brentwood, that's actually really not that
yeah,
bad.
that's not,
Very,
that's not bad.
I mean, yeah, I would get you, if it was coming out of Plastow, it's more like it is now coming from Raymond, but, from Brentwood, we're really, that's an improvement to me. To me, though, the question is gonna come down to cost. And I really need to know more about, what our ambient requirements. Because I
Let's get that answer.
Okay.
Open that. Then they open that for me to you guys as a board, selectmen.
you were kidding.
Yeah, it's the-
The, I had a lot of calls to the Tupperware from choking dynamite. But the, I will say that at that meeting, maybe this is the meeting where that happens or not. If that's the argument about a straight share or a capitated share, you better believe this is gonna be like the Constitutional Convention, you know, where we argue about, we shouldn't pay as much as Raymond does, or as much as, Kingston does with the number of call, it should be based on call or population, or something. There ought to be a metric that's used to divide these numbers up in ways that are, or per call, it's at the end of the year, whatever it is. It should not be,
Concern is being able to respond in timely enough fashion to provide the required service. All right.
And if they're not available, and obviously we have mutual aid agreements, we have mutual aid agreements with Exeter, we have mutual aid agreements with, Seabrook. And I think East Kingston sometimes has a paramedic on, not all the time, but sometimes. So there's that avenue, it is a mutual aid, so it's not, we can't use it as our service, that's not what mutual aid is.
Right.
But, it's there. I will tell you, Exeter is very busy and they were already down 2 paramedics, they lost 2 paramedics, like right when this all boiled over, they lost 2 paramedics, so they're down 2 paramedics. I did ask Exeter Fire, the chief there, I said, hey, what would it cost for you guys to do coverage, take over the ambulance, provide ALS coverage, the whole thing? And he came back to me with a number of $600,000, and that is pretty much essentially what I think. That's 4 paramedic firefighters on adding to this 7-man shift, so they could go to 8, so they could actually provide that coverage for it. He said, I would love to do that, but I don't have the personnel, and
There's some old histories there.
yeah, but
They
that's
have to take over that whole fire operation for years.
but there's a new chief over there who I've known from my fire service career, him and I were in Stratton together. So I know that's not his fault. He is a very straight shooter and, so, and I wanted that answer because I knew that somebody in the public would stand up and say, well, yeah, Exeter do it, and I have an answer. Here it is, so I covered that.
I would say this, so right now, my question is, if a call goes up, there's a call that's gonna require ALS service. That goes out through, currently is it through Rockland Dispatch, and then the ALS out of Exeter would pick that up, because they're monitoring that, they would pick that up, would they be called directly, how does that work?
So if we get a call and it gets toned for us and Exeter ALS, depending on the severity of the call.
And you may not know until you get there.
Right, it could change. We're just going by dispatch, whoever called 911 says, whatever, they might say, oh, I'm having difficulty breathing, and really they might have stuff.
Yeah.
They think that by saying that, they're gonna get us faster.
It's not 100%.
It doesn't, it doesn't. So if ALS is in bed, we will be advised of it, and then they'll say, would you like a paramedic from another community?
So then they'll tell
And we make that decision where, depending on where it is, and if we know that East Kingston has a paramedic, we might say, yeah, give me the East Kingston paramedic. If they don't, then we probably say, can you start me in Exeter Fire?
So when we have a situation as it currently stands, it would be like, okay, we start with the Exeter ALS, because we have a contractual relationship with them. This would slide into that role, the for lack of a better term, the class down would slide into that. When if they're not available, then it tones out to other department. We could say, yeah, torn out to another department, give me a paramedic in here.
Yep.
And somebody will respond and say, yeah, I got it.
In March, the ALS program is going to be no more, March 23rd. The Flagstaff plan is to create a seamless transition, so there will be no
March 24, we have this, yeah, right.
At midnight, when the clock strikes, Exeter will go away, Flagstaff will take it. There will be no drop in service, and that was a big thing with the Seacoast Chiefs. We did not want any drop in service.
Neither do we.
Right.
I'm with you on that. So let's do this. I appreciate this, and it's good to know where the chiefs are. I think we're gonna need to have somebody goes to that March 7th, or I'm sorry, that January 7th meeting to get the full skinny, especially on the cost sharing model. I think that's gonna be critical. To have our arms around that, and for some of these smaller communities to be able to agitate for a capitated cost sharing model. Otherwise, it's really unfair for the smaller community.
And if you guys, or anyone wants to go, because I know, okay, it's a meeting.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
If you don't send out, it,
We will, we'll figure that out.
but I'll let you know on that.
Yeah, that, see, I just let us know the particular stuff we can address it. To your point of inclusion in the budget, we don't really need to do that until 2026. The only reason I might have to add a line item for 2025, specific to the ALS services, is in case they're, hey, zero costs, doesn't wind up being zero cost, and we get to July, and the donor arrangements aren't there, or whatever else, it's like, hey, guys, we need 40 grand to make this thing work. We need to have a line item where we can overspend the draw it down, right?
Well, for 2025, it's saying continue to pay per use. So does that mean we'll get a bill from ALS every time we come in 2025, but in 2026, the contracts will
It
start?
will stay, it will stay, what he said was the first year will stay like there's no changes. So that $85 charge will be from last out.
Oh, okay.
So we'll continue to pay for service,
Right.
but,
Yeah,
and so that,
which you've been doing all along, but you probably didn't even realize we were even paying, because it was just not, it's been a service for 31 years, every town has been kind of getting this, like, I wouldn't.
so where does that come out of?
The ambulance stuff.
Anyways,
Okay. So then we don't need to, at this point, add something, it would be going into the following year.
Well, it depends on what our percentage is, because the amount that we bring in, right, I mean, if we could split that whole entire account,
right.
you know what I mean?
I understand, so, because if we're not splitting the,
If we're not going in as many runs, we're not getting the payments.
Well, we're not charging them for our service, we should be doing that too.
so here's my question is, as it currently stands, if I need ambulance, I have a situation in my house, and I need, our ambulance responds, and a paramedic comes to meet that ambulance and does their work in our ambulance.
Yes, yes.
Under this,
More what happens is what the original program was supposed to be was an intercept service, so. What
We'll meet you
we would go.
Yeah.
Get you, pick you up, put you in the ambulance, and then meet at, but over the time, and what's happening in England, well, is that they're waiting for ALS to get instead of intercept. So it's been a big wake up call for a lot of the fire departments. We've relied on this for 31 years and never came up with a contingency plan or beefed up our staffing or added people or did training or worked at our level. So this is becoming a big wake up call for us to say, we need to look at the calls, we need to, stop waiting for ALS to get there and start heading to the hospital and meet them like we're supposed to.
so, but here's my question is, right now, say that it was still, say it was working as an intercept as this point. So ambulance comes to my house.
Yeah.
As it is right now, the quality goes for the paramedic will show up also at my house, get into our ambulance.
Correct.
Okay. In this world, that ALS call is going to be different. Classed out ambulance is going to show up.
No, it's going to be exactly like, okay, so you're gonna see a Tahoe show up. You might actually, for the first year, you might actually still see the Exeter.
Sure.
That hospital paramedic ALS truck, because that we're hoping
To buy that.
well, they're hoping that that's part of the settlement, is that the hospital is going to donate the 2 trucks. Even though they need to be replaced as they're at the end of the month. And all the equipment. So they're gonna run an intercept, same thing.
So they're gonna be based out of Brentwood, but it'll just be a guy,
Unless they got to split it and it's on.
But it's not, so that to me says, for this coming year, we'll still be able to split the billing, because it's gonna be on our bus.
Yes.
So that tells me that we'll still be able to maintain that ambulance fund in a way that's meaningful. That's what I was trying to get at with this line of questioning, was if it was its own ambulance, now we did none of that.
Yeah, no.
Okay, all right, so that's important.
Yeah, so we got a plan for the change for next cycle after that to make sure that we're.
My only fear is that, I hope the voters vote our budget. If they don't, and we go to another default budget, and we don't have that line item, say it's year 2, and we go to default budget again, and it's, we don't have the line item there. How do we fund the paramedic program that we need?
Right now, we don't need a line item for next year because it's the split billing model.
Right.
It's for the 2026 budget cycle that we're gonna have to insert some sort of a line item that puts in, here's how much.
That's why I was talking, because I don't want to lose sight of the fact that it's got to come, and we've got to change our structure for the line item to make sure it's in there, so that we don't lose something, one of those gap years or in between years.
Well, right now, we don't know what the costs are gonna be.
Right.
We won't know even what the model is for
Right,
a few
yes.
more weeks.
Right.
So I don't want to put in a zero line item or anything like that right now. I don't want to bump this, because most, I mean, it's something that this board can do going into 2026, where it knows what the landscape looks like.
Right.
Put in that
I
line.
just want to make sure we don't lose sight of it as we move forward.
No, not at all. And honestly, given the nature of municipal budgeting, is say we, to your fear, say we prepare, this board prepares a 2026 budget that says, okay, we gotta come up with 50 grand, which it won't be, I don't think, but I'd say it's 30 grand, whatever it is. We gotta come up with $30,000 to pay for ambulance services for the class stop there. Or we put a line item in the fire budget that says that. If we go to a default budget, it doesn't mean we can't spend that 30, it just means that the total bottom line of the fire department has to absorb that and balance that. And that's obviously not ideal, but, the absence of a line item doesn't mean that the town has said you can't spend the money that way. This board and the fire department would still be able to provide that service, and we just would have to balance it out some other way within the budget, so. It's gonna come down to figuring out how much is that cost gonna look like.
I mean, with the best forward planning you do, just make it run smoother going forward, that's all.
I mean, honestly, I would even take a thought of, appropriating that directly into the ambulance budget. Into the ambulance fund, revolver, into the ambulance fund. Because that way, if you hit that number, you know what I mean, and now we've got it set aside rather than it being in the general fund.
Right, yeah.
And that way, if we have to increase it as time goes by, you could even start doing what we do with road reconstruction and go into a warrant article that says, here's what the cost of ALS is. And we need to appropriate this to put it in to support that. So, but those are future strategic questions for this board to look into. Okay. Anything else relative to ALS, the class stop plan? As they are going to come up with a better name than that, so.
I'm sure, right, the Seacoast land.
Seacoast is Seacoast, so I love that Seacoast and Raymond call themselves Seacoast. I was like, wow, now when Raymond called himself on the Seacoast.
I'm not sure we guys got this, just give us to. There, you got.
I was just thinking from the standpoint of the voter, Plasta, it's gonna come from Plasta? No, it's.
Well,
So that's when that was a early.
Oh, thank you, yeah.
So I asked the chief to provide, some numbers for me, because when he first presented, he just did real quick, and I was like, oh,
Okay, so this is what Jeff is showing me, and I'm looking out the numbers, is this is, the numbers that you see, if you go back, Kathy, to the, that cost slide. Wherever that was,
And I'm not sure that, that's probably changed, just so you know.
that's okay, it's an example of.
It's an easy.
So in year two, as we look at that $341,000, if they go with an even split, it would be $19,000 for Kensington. If it is demographic based, we'd be at $13,000, which is not that big of a difference. If you go out to year six, if it's evenly split, we pay $113,000. If it's demographic, it's $77,000. So that number starts, those two models diverge as the number gets bigger and the laws of numbers move. But I think it's helpful to look at this to say that in the first year, we're looking at probably between $50,000 to $20,000 is what that first year looks like, what that second year looks like. And then it goes from there into the 20s and 30s and 40s, and it's gonna escalate each year.
right.
Which I presume that's just purely based on compensation and cost and.
Right, yeah, equipment, payroll, obviously you gotta hire full-time,
It is interesting to me that in the course of 4 to 5 years, they see it going from $350,000 to $2 million. That's a pretty rapid increase unless they plan to add service and to add more people and more.
Yeah. I don't know, the only thing he said about Paddington was, obviously, they're hoping to grab the southern tier towns,
Yeah,
That literally went down with the work, the cost. But he also said during the storm, like a nor'easter comes, that if they have an extra truck, which they're kind of hoping one of the ALS hospital trucks will be good enough to kind of put in the back burner.
Yeah.
And they'll put a truck, like you say, the big storms come, they'll put a truck in Stratton. And they'll have the Broadwood truck, Stratton truck, and wherever that other one is, and then the supervisor has it. So he'll add, depending on, natural disaster, which was great.
so that's the other question I think to ask when we get to that meeting, is that this model shows more than 200% increase over 5 years.
Is there subsidies going on? Or was early years being subsidized by the Exeter Hospital?
That's a good point.
So I was wondering, do the donor,
If we figure the cost is at 2 and it's sort of you're weaning off of that, that makes more sense.
How else could you go from?
Yeah.
30,000.
That, I think this plan
That makes more sense.
is not to rely on each one in the future years.
So if we're looking at it to say that by 2030, it'll be self-sufficient
Right.
and it's a $2 million exercise, but in the early years, we're gonna have some help before we get there. That I understand.
The attorney general gets considered getting more and be great. Well, help us out. And the other politicians that are really there with yourself.
We were all excited about it, a few minutes before the election.
There's still a lot to try.
Okay, anything else on this particular topic? Okay, then we'll get after it the first week or January 7th or whatever it is, and we'll.
I'll let you know when that meeting is open for you guys to come and we'll go from there.
Great, thank you, Ben. We do have, before we get into the warrant articles and the encumbrances, we do have some donated funds to the cemetery reserve fund that we have to accept. I was trying to get a couple of them.
yep, let me grab them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah, that's okay. They are going to also provide training to fire departments and zero, you're paying.
It's built in.
Yeah, we won't have to hire, site, because they will come and talk just different subjects, which that is also a great, part of this plan is education wise, which is awesome.
Okay.
There will be a board of fire chiefs, I think that will also be released out of the area, towns, fire chiefs. Or not like all of them, but some of them.
It's sort of a security council rotating sort of.
Yeah, so that, it's not just that decision or, last of that.
I get you, we'll set up a nonprofit then.
We have skin in the game, it's something that choose to put it.
Sorry, can I get a response on the on my agenda?
no, it's on the agenda. 300,
So it's $300 to accept to the cemetery reserve fund for Trump Legal Trust.
yeah, that might be a little bit more. Maybe 7. But they range from. I don't have 7, I only have 5.
We have,
We have it.
so it's $300. We'll entertain a motion to accept those.
I'll make a motion to accept the donated funds to the cemetery reserve fund. The amount of $300.
I'll second that.
That motion has been made and seconded, all those in favor? The motion will carry. So now we do want to jump to, we have some funds to encumber. and there's a couple of different ones. The fire department gave us $5,383.28, I think. Is that right? I'm looking at that for,
Got this updated,
oh, okay.
so there was three invoices, right, Chief?
You have three quotes.
Yeah.
One's for host testing, ladder testing, and the other one's for fire pump testing. And then their packs can be done every year, and, I just took the,
Is that what these two are,
those
or is this a total?
are the 4,043.28 is the host testing and ladder testing.
Yeah,
And then the pump testing is 1,350.
yeah, and then it's not like what they just showed me from IPS.
Yeah, that's how that's.
Okay, there was three different invoices,
Oh, just the big one.
just the total,
Yeah, just the total, sorry.
okay,
Okay,
so, okay.
so the number then is going to be 727.72. Which is remarkably similar to the police department's watch guard cost of 7,231. And then for the town, we have $2,069 for tree removal here at the town hall.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is that? That brings us down to 17,027.72.
This is the budget as of tonight, the 165, 160, is what we have left. With tonight's bills in it, any other bills that come in, payroll for the next 3 weeks is 46,000, it looks like, which is 180, so it'll leave behind the 258. But I have not offset that with the money that we just accepted for all of those.
The grants,
Yeah.
anticipated,
Maybe grant some guts.
yeah, anticipated was only 53.70.
Yeah, for the whole thing. So you've got
I
13,000
see,
here.
other stuff, yeah.
Yeah, there's $13,782.80.
So we're looking
Added to that.
And so the number two, the Grange is asking also to encumber that 4,685.
This is from 2003, sorry.
So that'll help to calculate your number, not. So from a standpoint of what the board needs to encumber tonight,
25.
it's the
17,027 for the town,
Yep.
and then encumber 2,500 from the Grange warrant article for 2024.
Okay. So then, let's say those are two separate
Yes,
motions, because I'm holding over that for a warrant article, there's a specific
yes,
thing that we have to do differently. Okay.
yes.
All right, so what are the numbers here? 17,027,
Good there.
That is the encumbrance from the,
10.
yeah, to be charged against the 2024 budget for the purposes enumerated. For which we have invoices, signed contracts, all of the required pieces. So unless there are questions relative to that number, we can encumber that now.
So make a motion to encumber the $17,027.72.
I'll second that.
That motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that motion will carry. And then what we need to do is to carry forward the $2,500 from the 2023 Grange warrant article through into next year, right? Because we can. We have 2 year, when that was approved in 23.
Yeah, we don't put it for 2. No, this is 23 is done. We're done with
Is
23.
it from the 24?
20.
Okay, that's why I was looking at the 23.
Oh, sorry.
And I see now. So that's why, so the 24 warrant article still has $2,500 behind more, but we want to carry forward into 2024, that $2,500 from the 24 warrant article for the Grange.
Make a motion to carry forward the $2,500 from the 2024 warrant article range.
I'll second it.
That motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye, motion will carry. So those are our encumbrances, which should leave us somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000 at the end of the year.
Yes.
And plus or minus whatever else happens. Okay. Wow. Better than pointing the other direction, right? Which where we've been there before too. Kathy, I have here to the warrant article discussion. I don't know that we have a lot right now to go over other than,
Just the library.
we did hear more about the library and found out over the email that we have to appropriate the full amount
Yes.
and then offset it by the charitable fundraising that they've done. I think that makes a tough sell even tougher.
That's what she was concerned with. She called me this morning. She wasn't happy to see that.
Yeah, I can understand that. But the warrant article would read, to raise and appropriate this amount to be offset by X amount, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit more. Okay.
Do you have the language
Yeah.
there? that we can- Frank changes.
Yes, they marked it up quite a bit. They changed a lot of what they had put in, and they took out some of what they wanted to say. Elaine was concerned with it just saying that it was for ADA accessibility for residents. She wanted to make sure there was somewhere that it said that it was also for the children's programs area. I did write back to the bond council and I'm still waiting to hear back her thoughts on adding that into it. It was just that one sentence. She was very concerned with this full dollar instead of just,
At 5.5 million.
yeah,
With 3 million to be raised in addition to bonds.
Yeah.
2 million already raised. I mean, at the end of the day, too, I mean, there is the mindset that looks at it and goes, man, they've already raised almost half of it, like, they didn't really put some private skin in this.
yeah.
And it's hard to see it the way it'll be much tighter when it's,
Yeah.
it's going to, I mean,
Yeah.
accept them all right, and so they can see. Yeah, 5 million expanding, the purpose of renovations. That's where she wants to say ADA accessibility and expanded children.
Yeah, right.
3 million to be raised through issues of bonds and amended. 2 million, 0.5 to come from county associations.
They wanted to say that they'd already raised money. This doesn't actually say that they'd raised money.
Yeah, we're not there yet. No, and when I say we're not there yet, I mean, the language of this article is not there yet. I need more polishing from the bond attorneys and DRA on this before I have any comfort level.
Yeah.
It's still woolly, to be honest. We're not, on January 6th, at our meeting, is that our meeting to? That's not yet our meeting to accept one, article, there's a vote on it.
No, that's, your budget and warrant articles will be on the 13th and 14th.
Okay. So what I would say, and when this gets into the way, everybody's got stuff to do, so we're gonna meet by the 13th to know what the language is.
Okay,
Ideally by the 6th, but I also understand.
well, the 14th is, okay, so you have a public hearing for the bond in there too. You had to have separate public hearings.
Yeah, when is that? I don't have that scheduled, I don't.
I just moved it. Bond hearing is Tuesday the 14th. Because we had to post it.
And that's fine, because that's not, we can post it. But then we're gonna vote on the 13th on the warrant articles.
Yeah, the 13th and the 15th, because you have to have a second.
Because we won't have the bond hearing until the 14th, so we're gonna vote on everything else on the 13th.
Yeah.
We'll have the bond hearing on the 14th, and then on the 15th, we'll vote after the bond hearing.
The bond public hearing has to be a standalone.
Right, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
that's, we can do everything else on the 13th.
Yeah.
That's non-bond.
Right.
Uh,
If there's any changes on the 13th, you still have the 15th set into your time.
that makes sense.
Yes.
But we'll know by the 13th what this language looks like.
Oh, for sure. Or not, we'll know at the end of this week, hopefully.
Okay. So we'll have a chance, I think, on before the 6th to actually talk about whether we want to proceed with bond. I think that's sort of gonna be on our agenda for the 6th. I mean, right now, yes, proceed, go forward as though we're gonna have all of these hearings, but know that there are some opportunities, there are some off-ramps built into the process, the 13th and the 15th and the 14th, those are all opportunities to either, clarify, change, or to. And I can't, for me, I can't say yet where I am on it until I see what the final language is. Yeah.
Their planning board meeting on the stage, January 15th.
Yeah.
What time is the framework? 6:30. Well, maybe we've set our,
Maybe some schedule on me.
As long as we have, yeah, as long as we have this out there, you can, on this date, set it at a different time, as long as it's in a public hearing.
what I'm saying, to Bob's point, the planning board is scheduled to be 6:30, maybe we already just set at 5:30 or whatever stuff we set to go before then. Okay. Then we'll change it, but
I can see if we can change it. See if we-
don't worry about it, we'll do it later. We'll change it at post, as they say.
Just, just want to let everybody know the, 23rd through of December through basically the 29th of December, I'll be away. Be out of town, be out of state.
Yeah, no, we have, we'll get in a moment to schedule because, my understanding is this is our last meeting of the year, while we did our encumbrances. I know you're away, from December 25 to January 3rd, not in the hemisphere, so, well, we won't be doing a lot, Bob, you're gonna have to, keep your hands on the wheel. Here,
I'll be on email and all that stuff, so.
yeah, I can't promise I will. So we do have January the 6th and the 13th, the 14th and the 15th essentially as our schedule.
Yeah, I'll be back.
The 6th is a regular business meeting, although we will have an opportunity to review some of this material. The 13th is the hearing for the warrant articles in the budget. 14th is bond hearing, and then the 15th is our public hearing following up on the public hearing. So that we can vote on that warrant article if necessary.
And the budget will be on the meeting on the 13th too.
Yep.
So,
But,
but the budget is what it is at this point, right?
yeah, we baked it, I think.
You're pretty much all set with the raises. I didn't get the budget in.
Yeah.
I'll send it.
We're at like that 9.8, 9.9 or whatever. After the inputs for the half year of retirement.
Yeah.
But we're still single digits.
Okay, back to the warrant article though. What are specific questions?
Specifically, it comes down to language on that first paragraph, when it's, those things that are in caps, which of those is it? And are they able to include the language that says ADA accessibility and children's programs? So those are certainly things that we need to have buttoned down. And then in the second paragraph, when she talks about to vote on for the amount of this year's payment for the bond, So that, because the budget doesn't reflect the first year bond payment. So we have to figure out what that first year bond payment looks like, and they have to either appropriate that as part of this article, and that's how I would prefer it's done. Because I don't want to put it in the budget, if the bond article failed, then the budget has been increased by $75,000 for that service payment that we don't have to do.
Yeah, entirely.
And then, of course, you'll also have the tax impact. Do we have a amortization already for that? I don't know how you guys feel, but to me, it makes more sense to include that appropriation in this article rather than in the budget, you know.
So they have 20, 25, and 30-year loans
Yep,
that they did for us. This is the 20, so the first payment would be 281, 250 for the first calendar year for the 20,
that's for the 20 year.
2026. This is for 20.
That they're saying, so we don't have a full payment this year coming up.
It's not the way they did it, no.
I would be surprised if they did it, because you have to approve it and then you have your first payment, you know what I mean, like, because otherwise how would you feel it?
No, I'm not sure why she does it.
Um,
Too much. This is 25 and $253,800. For the 30, it is 235. And then the difference was this interest. So your 1.8 in interest,
Sure, the total. Yeah, because you're gonna accrue more interest on the third, I get that, yeah.
1.5,
But there's a reason you do it, for you.
right?
There's a reason you don't buy your house on, you know what I mean, like, these things. What I'm looking at now is, on that 30,000, so if it's the 230,000, which is the smallest. And I look at, right now, this is just on the current year budget, it's not even next year's budget. It's basically 10% of our operating budget. Which is at the very high end of what you want for your debt service. You want your debt service to be probably closer to 5 than 10% of your overall operating budget. So what you're looking at is, if we assume that this is sort of inside NPA stuff, but like, if you have an operating budget of X, you want your debt service on your, infrastructure and all of that to be less than 10%. And probably somewhere between 5 and 10%. And what we're saying is we would, our entire debt service for our capital improvement program is for this project. That would include over the next 25 to 30 years, not doing anything else. No fire station, no work, no significant work on this building, no public safety, nothing else. Because you're spending, now, 5 years from now, it won't be 10%, it'll be a smaller proportion because the operating budget will grow. But it gives you that look at how significant of an outlay it is. Yeah. And that's based on the 3 million, not on the 5.
That's what I read. This is with the 3 million? These numbers?
Yes.
Or the 5?
There's 3.
Yeah, it's on the
Yeah.
left, the principal's on the left. It's in the left column, the principal.
Yeah.
And it's a 30 to 35% per thousand tax increase. Which, if you see on the right hand side, it said in the first year, that's 34 cents per thousand valuation, right? If I'm reading that correctly. So if you have that $600,000 house, right?
No, this is on the actual tax rate. Yes.
Whether-
Yeah, yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Oh,
thirty.
Sorry.
so it's, 30 cents, right?
Yeah.
Times 600,000 divided by 100. That's $180. If I'm reading that, I think I'm reading that correctly. On a $600,000 house, that's $180 for year one. And then it's just baked in the rest of the way, right? It's $180 each year. As you go along. Right, and actually, it decreases because the payment decreases. Right? Because the total, which I find interesting, that payment is fluid. But I guess that covers the same principal amount with declining interest balance. It's a weird way to set up a bond. Rather than a fixed payment that reduces increase in principal as we go. Right? This is sort of swap to me. Usually I don't see a fixed principal with a declining payment. Usually you see a fixed payment with an increase in principal.
Yeah,
Proportion. So that's weird too. I guess if that how the bond bank does it.
This is,
Level principal, that's the only way they do it.
I don't think so. I think that would give me a plenty of other quotes.
I'm making a quote based on a fixed payment. I mean, the benefit here is that as the value of the project ages, you're paying less for it than you go.
which you would be doing normally anyway. Because, just because time value of money, with the shader years.
Sure.
Well, they didn't fix it. It's 48 and then it went down to 35.
I mean, I just have never seen, I just never seen a fixed principal amortization table before. And I was in commercial lending. This is a new one. I mean, normally you want a fixed payment because then you can budget for a fixed payment. And as you go on, the proportion, it's mostly interest at the beginning and then it's more principal at the end, and that's how everybody does their thing. So that's just a question for that one. It's not, I don't think it'll materially change how much the impact is, but it's just, budgeting scale. It's 4%, which is not bad. But a $230,000 annual payment is a not insubstantial nugget. What we're gonna have to talk about next month is whether this being on the ballot jeopardizes other things on the ballot.
Right. Saying that.
Just that who's on, it's taping, just so you know. No, this community doesn't have a history with infrastructure projects. As you well know, as you now well know, looking at your digs over there. Just the work to this building alone was a major sense of investment. And this is an order of magnitude budget. Because how much was this project?
650.
Get private help too.
And that was my understanding, not easy street to get done. That there was a lot of discussion on.
There was discussion, but there was a special meeting held and stuff for it, so yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that in January. hopefully have some more data to work off of. That concludes my agenda. I suspect you may have other things that you need us to do before you lose us.
You have one solar exemption that just needs to be updated for users corners. And I need you to sign off on the adjusted payments in the contract with BNS. When we did the amounts out, we had done the contract last year for a different amount. And we picked up that there was actually 11 payments to them instead of just the 9 for this year. So it's just pretty much initially and changing the number of payments in the market areas.
So this is an adjustment to our snow and ice removal contract just for our town property.
No, this is the.
This is the entire,
Yeah.
Okay,
What is this, permanent application? for-
that's an updated solar application.
So,
So the question if we have to move to update their.
We need a motion.
For this one, it's just a matter of showing on the places where it's highlighted.
yes,
And I don't think we need a motion right there, this is just an acknowledgement.
yeah, it's just an, thank you.
We need a motion on this.
That one we do, this one is just. Yeah, just a motion to update the solar exemption. For that property.
So this is to update the existing solar exemption.
Yes. I believe that's correct.
Yeah,
Right, so I make a motion to update the existing solar exemption for Eastman's Corner
I'll second,
recommendation.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So go ahead and there's places on, there's a couple of places I think there is too. That need to be signed.
Can you sign this?
Those are just initials, just moving the updated contract for BNS. Awesome.
Just a bill of you. I do have, things for the department station with that, like, the two that are here, you can just grab these on the way out. There's it's certified medical detail about how to access their website. So if you want to share it, but it's annual meeting information, using contact information, needed to the territory, gas, gas, IP, and additionally gas. Emergency information is making creating resources. So that's pretty good.
I also have here, we have sets of minutes that we need approval. To get long in the tooth. And those are minutes from, regular meetings of the 4th and 18th of November, and then our budget meetings are the 12th and 13th. So I would politely request a motion to approve those board minutes.
Get through this first.
Sure.
Well, when they sign those, I think that's
That's all you should.
all you know.
I think it just has you and me. I don't think you're brought aside that initial place yet. Those initial where the stickies are there, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now the piece of thing. I'll sign it. Reiterate my request for a motion relative to the minutes of November 4, 12, 14, and 18.
4, 12, 14, and 18.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 4th, November 12th, November 13th, November 18th. I will second.
That motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. That motion will carry. Is there anything else happy from your?
After you're going to talk about,
Oh, closing the offices next week.
closing the office.
Okay,
Here you go.
where there was gonna be 2 selectmen away. We're wondering if we wanted to close the offices next week, but
So we're looking at the 23rd to the 27th.
yeah. I have a slated vacation for that week as well.
I don't have a problem with closing your office. The question is, I don't think we can close Sarah's office. That's up to her. Right?
She's closing the 24th through the 27th anyways.
Okay. And she's not open on the Mondays anyway. Right? And then Caroline, she would kind of follow whatever.
She would still look at her stuff, so if anybody came in and paid those, she would still report it. but
That's
she
fine.
wouldn't Be open to the public.
That's my main concern is that if somebody trying to pay their tax bill, that.
She'll still expect the payment.
Okay.
As long as they leave them.
You're not being way long, but I'll be able to be reached by phone or by email. I'll check that, but,
Have we done that before as far as closing the town office for a week at a time? Or holiday time?
What about the clerk's office? Sarah would be, is already going to be gone for.
She'll be gone for the 20. 20th.
Yeah, it's
24th is Tuesday. So she's already closed most of the week. Other than Monday, when she's not around. she
that's
does.
looking Monday anyway.
I would suggest that we can close the building, but there should be either on the website or posted on the door, a way, to reach somebody.
Okay,
Do you know what I mean? Whether that's Sarah or whether that's Linda, whoever it is, somebody can, was checking the phone, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to make sure that.
yeah,
Even if the building is closed, that the town operation isn't insensitive to somebody who might have need.
yeah,
Yeah, you have taxes and you have automobile things.
Yeah. Plus the other thing is people are off work. And they may be looking to come in and get their end of the month, to get their registrations done, right? They can do them online, I mean, they obviously can do that. But that's something we want to make sure that we have solid.
okay,
I would say if you can come up with what that looks like, then
okay.
I don't have a problem with the physical building being closed, as long as the operation is still open to those who need it.
like I said, I'm having the phone with me and quite a distance away, so.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Bob can come in and do registrations. Other items to come before us. I believe that, I haven't looked at it yet, the filings are at the end of January, right? Do we know when I think it's the last week of January, maybe? So it's that last week of January. Okay, so it's the last week of January.
Yeah.
From out of personal privilege, just for the record, my term expires this coming March and it is my intention not to renew. So you have until the end of January to decide. I would love to play this particular board game. And, if anybody has questions about it, then, reach out to me about what the job entails. I think 6 years is enough for you all to have to put up with me, so I'm gonna move on. And I'm gonna make that public. I think it's important to give people an opportunity to think about whether it's something they want to do and give it some deliberation, with their families and themselves. So I think it's fair to sort of spring it a week before it hits. So that's my notice out there in the world, such as it is. Cool. Anything else that we have to do before we adjourn? I think there's nothing else. We'll wish for all of the town employees and residents a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And we'll see everybody on the 6th of January. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moving second, all those in favor? Aye, that motion is carried, and we will stand adjourned. Thank you.
Have a very good holiday, everybody.
What's that?
Thank you, Rob. You too.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And